Necesito que m'ajudes. Si non m'ajudas, pago o soa. Xa di o teu nome e a policía está de camiño da illa.
That has been screened in Europe in this official section of festival after being in Toronto Festival. This is the second film of JAIONE CAMBORDA, director we know well in San Sebastian because in 2020 she was a resident here with the project of this film in the section Ikusmira Berriak, which is inside the festival together with Tabacalera and the Elias Querejeta Film School. Let me introduce you to the members of the representing this film. Andrea VÁZQUEZ, producer. María Zamora, producer, Carla Rodríguez, an actress, and NOVÁS as an actress, and JAIONE CAMBORDA herself, the director herself. JAIONE, I have a question for you to break the ice. It's also for the producers, Andrea and María. This is your second film after Arima that was screened in 2019, and next year you were already preparing, thinking about O Corno. How did you get the original idea? And I would like to ask Andrea and María when you started to work with JAIONE in the production of the film. Good morning to you all, first of all. The idea comes from the need to explore, as a woman, the ability to conceive and to give birth. That animal ability, natural ability of the human being. And I've decided to explore that in my film, looking for reasonable answers, but also trying to explore the instinctive and emotional and artistic side of things. And I also wanted to share this uncertainty, all the questions, all the doubts with the viewers. When I joined the project, you had already been working on it for a year. We live in the same city. We have a professional and personal relationship. And we are about the same age, and we have the same or similar questions about motherhood and our desire to become mothers. So when JAIONE told me that she was working on a film about this topic, I felt it was interesting for me personally as well. I had been producing the O que Arde film. That was my first experience. And I thought it was the right time to make this film because I was personally involved in the topic of the film. That's what I felt. I met JAIONE and Andrea here at San Sebastian Film Festival because the project participated in the Ikusmira Berriak laboratory, and I was captivated by the idea of making a film about this sorority network that is built in the film through the characters. María helps Luisa, Annabelle helps María, among other women that participate helping María in the film. And I really loved to see that through that network, women helped each other and were able to face very hard situations that have very much to do to the right of women making decisions on their own bodies.
Hola, aquí. Yo quería preguntar,
yes.
Siempre pregunto sobre esto, sobre el trabajo con bebés.
How was working with a baby? Because, you know, you may need to shoot a scene where the baby's crying and the baby doesn't cry. How was working with a baby? Yes, in the film, you can see a baby that was 6 days old. So we really had to prepare the set so that everything is ready. You need to be very careful with the baby, and we devoted a great deal of time to that scene because we knew that that scene would take time. We had a doula, we had the mother of the baby with us on set, and we always tried to respect the times of the baby, of course. And well, since the scene is very much related to the baby being hungry, we tried to respect the times where the baby needed to be fed. So we adapted ourselves to the nature of the times of the baby. Congratulations on your film, to the whole crew. I really loved it. And I would like to ask JAIONE, how was it received in Toronto's festival? And do you think it will be possible for it to be distributed in the US and Canada? And since you come from Donostia, San Sebastian, you're now presenting and showing your film in the official section. How do you feel about that? Yes, are you going to make the most of this opportunity, that being in Toronto gives you to screen and to show the movie in Canada and the US? And how does it feel to be here in San Sebastian? Well, being in Toronto was really nice. After 4 years working on the project, we showed it for the first time there. We screened it there, and we're very happy with how people received the film. And being in San Sebastian is really something that makes me really moved. It's something really special for me, because I discovered cinema in this festival, and being here for me is very special. It's very symbolic, really. I've been living in Galicia for 15 years now, and having a film located in Galicia kind of joins both my worlds, and I'm really fascinated. I'm really happy to be here, and I think that this festival will give the film more visibility, and that's something that's really necessary to reach out to the audience, and that is a gift for me.
Hola, buenos días.
Hello, good morning. Congratulations. I think the film is fantastic. I really loved all the details. As a woman, you know, I think that sorority is guaranteed. And the beginning of the film is incredible. I would like to ask JAIONE about why you located the film in 1971 precisely, because it's, you know, I'm part of that generation, and I feel really identified with the women on the film. So why 1971? Why that moment in time? And I would like to ask you about this wonderful casting. Yes, about the time, the year. Well, there are many reasons for that. I wanted to work with characters that were closely related and deeply rooted in the land, in working the land. I also wanted to show a way to deliver babies that would not rely on hospitals and doctors, because it's a remote area in Galicia that we see. And I also wanted to show the decisions that women need to be able to make about their own bodies. So for me, I really wanted to convey all these three messages, and I wanted to face the audience with that reality. Because I think that these things still could happen currently. And as for the casting, what can I say? In the main character, I wanted to have a very physical, present character. The main character is always present, and I knew Janet Novas's work, who is a contemporary dancer, and I was fascinated by her work, and I thought that she had that presence. That's something I wanted, that bodily presence I wanted. And she also comes from a rural area, and that connects her with the women of the land. And I saw that she had an incredible potential to work with different emotional layers. So yeah, I'm very happy with her. I only talked about her, but we've got Carla here with us. This is her first film, And we had this casting with many teenagers. And she's when I saw her, I really saw that she stood out. She's very present. She says so many things with very little gestures, and so I think she was wonderful. I thought she was wonderful for this character. Thank you very much. A wonderful movie. This is your second film, and it's a high quality, very high quality film. I would like to ask you about the first scene, the one concerning the delivery. That is, I would like to know how you shot that, because it's really important. It's really distressing somehow. And I wanted to know what came first, the decision to shoot in those landscapes that inspire you, or the story? Let me start with the second question concerning the story of the midwife. I think that here we see women. We really see women that are deeply rooted in the land, in the soil. You see the costumes, right, and the colors that are very much related to that. They're part of the landscape. And as for the first part of the question concerning the delivery, that scene is key for me. I think it's like the seed of the project. Historically in cinema, this has been shown in a very psychological way, and we've seen women that are out of their body, they're hysterical somehow. And I think it was important to show the different tempo of the delivery. And I wanted to show women that are connected with their bodies, with their mammal side of things, right? Because that's what we are at the end of the day. And I thought it was also important to show that scene as the starting point of the film. I wanted to show that. I wanted the viewers to see that and all the details, so that they could observe that quietly, calmly. We see the woman breathing, and that leads to gives you time to think and observe. The story is located in 1971, the film, and the topic is still interesting currently. Is it even more interesting due to what happened last year in Spain? Yeah, I think so. This is an issue that's been there for a long time, but I think it's a hot topic currently, and I think it's important to put it on the table and look after maybe look after women's rights and guarantee them. And so in this Spanish political context, I think this topic is even more interesting. I wanted to ask you about the dark side of this delivery you show us in detail. I wanted to talk about the abortion. I mean, does that horn exist? That magic, does it exist, or have you created it? You're showing pain and the consequences of an abortion. Is that what moved you to create this brutal scene? Yes, that horn exists. It's been used historically, and it came from nature, of course, and that invited me to explore abortion, making some parallel reference to the delivery scene or the sex scene even. I think that in the film you see this emotional intensity in very specific scenes and moments where not everything is pain or pleasure. There's this ambiguity going on. there. And we also, in these scenes, we wanted to be very close to the woman, and not maybe so close to the baby when it's born, or the physical side of things. But I wanted to show what the woman experiments physically. Well, first of all, congratulations for the film. I think it's wonderful, and I also wanted to ask about how you treated men's characters. Of course, this film is about sorority and women, but we have some male characters that are there, and I think I would like to know how you worked and developed those characters. And I would like to mention this man who wants to be breastfed, that somehow makes you feel moved because he has that need, actually. Can you talk about these two things? Yes, I think that male's characters needed to be there, and I wanted to show men from an emotional viewpoint. I know this film is about women. It is focused on women, of course, but men have a role to play, an emotional role to play sometimes, and some other times they're there for the narrative. It was important to me not to ignore the male figure. Obviously, all that oppression against women is there in our system. It is in the atmosphere, in the ambience, and we left aside the whole Spanish dictatorship. That dark time is not something you see, but it is there somehow, because you see the smugglers, you see it in the sorority as well. And as for the second part of your question, I can't remember it very well. Oh yeah, the scene, yeah. That scene was like a personal revelation for me. It made everything fit. There are some formal echoes in the film about breastfeeding, about the breast of the woman, about giving birth and feeding. There's also that moment where a woman can be bought. And I thought it was a very strong scene. We're quite used to see that these situations are sorted out with a more sexual situation. But I wanted to show that this woman was not ready to breastfeed that man. And I also connected it to that, well, I didn't want this male character to be seen as Satan, right? There is this reminiscence to his being a baby, and to that sick reality that he lives in, concerning that need to be a child, a baby again, to go back to the source of life. I thought that it was a very poetic and ambiguous way of showing what happened to him. JAIONE, you told us that the casting was a long process, and since Carla and Janet are here, I wanted to ask them how they prepared their character, and I wanted to ask you how you worked with them on the set. Yes. I first started to work with fisherwomen. I also had the help of a linguist or a language expert. There was a team of people that helped me work on my character. And then I worked with JAIONE a lot. I have an experience as a dancer myself, and I tried to use that. Maria's emotion was in my body, and everything contained by the body, so that was the starting point to build my character. And then I also used my memory, my own memory about women that have surrounded me in Galicia, because I come from Galicia myself. So to me, that memory was key. There was something in the character that when I started to build and develop the character with JAIONE, I first started to see myself as an actress and say, okay, how am I going to build this character? But then I realized that if she had chosen me, there had to be something intuitive there. So I also tried to pick on my intuition, my memory, and the memory of my body, and try and experience that. Because although I haven't lived in the 70s, I think that the memory of women is very much present in my physicality, so to say, my body. So that's how I built Maria's character. I also had to train myself as a runner. I had a language expert to help me, and I also wondered what I would do in that situation if that happened to me. I also used my own memories. I tried to connect with the character. And thanks to Janet's knowledge, the body, she helped me connect with the character, the story, and the atmosphere. Well, working with them was very nice. I think that each actor or actress has different access points. In Janet's case, the access point is through the body, everything that's emotional. She understands everything through the body, so that's where we focused on. We didn't take the psychological approach as with other actresses. We worked together very nicely. I remember a rehearsal where they both danced and improvised some movements, and there many things were generated to help us with the abortion scene. There was this support, this leadership on the one hand side, and Carla, for instance, is someone that's very hardworking. She's very smart. She is really methodical, and if you need her to repeat something over and over again, she does it. And she also uses her personal experience. She doesn't have any previous experience, so we work very much with the real emotions that she had experienced. If there are any questions from the floor, please raise your hand. I would like to ask you about the circular structure of the film. The beginning of the film is a delivery, then we have an emotional, a physical trip. How did you work on that structure? Yes, I wanted to end the film with a life, with a new life coming to this world. And I also wanted to show the doubts generated by that decision. And so the last scene is, I didn't want to show it as something dialectical. She decided to have her baby. She could have made a different decision. But I like this idea. I wanted to finish the film with a new life, but I also wanted to show the process, because it's a difficult process. It's a difficult path for the character. I wanted to show this Eros Thanatos controversy that we have to face sometimes in life. If there aren't any questions, I would like to ask you one last question about the staging. Every frame is like a little picture, and I would like to ask you about those elements that you've been so careful about in your film. Can you tell us more about them? I worked with Pozas. He's a Portuguese professional. He's worked in very good movies, and working with him was very nice. We focused very much on this idea that the characters needed to be three-dimensional, and at the same time we wanted to have characters that were on the ground, right? We wanted to show the beauty of landscapes, but we didn't want to show any still beauty. We wanted to show the landscape, yes, and the different situations. There's also room for the actors, right? So they weren't framed, especially Janet, who is a dancer. We wanted her to have the necessary freedom to perform her role. I think that this year we're going to find many stories about women that are directed by women. I would like to know your approach and your opinion. What do you think about these stories where the main characters are women? I think it's a moment of celebration. We have 3 women directors in the official sector. It's a bit late, it took some time, but I'm happy that this is so. Also in 3 languages, co-official languages in Spain. I think that's key. And I think that we haven't had the opportunity in the past to have a voice, and now we have good films made by women, but we haven't had them in the past because we weren't allowed to. I think that's also important. That's something we need to tell the people. Andrea, Maria, would you like to add anything to this? Well, I feel lucky to have been able to produce many women directors. I think that we now have very powerful women directors in Spain. Luckily, thanks to previous references and models, we now have many women who want to become directors. It's taken a long time, and there's still headway to make, but we now have in the festival 3 films directed and produced by women. And I hope that this becomes normal in the future, right? The new normal. Yes, and on top of that, I would add that we tell stories that are interesting for women. They are very interesting for us and for the audience. So let's have more of that. Well, if there aren't any further questions, thank you so much.